Hello coders, welcome to Level Up with Coding. Today I will be discussing the problem 463 island perimeter. And what the problem? That you are given a grid representing a map and where grid ij1 that represent land and grid ij equal to 0 represent water, and grid cell are connected horizontally and vertically, and the grid is surrounded by water and there is exactly one island. Okay, and you have to find what is the perimeter of that island. Okay, let's understand the problem. What is the problem? Okay, so in this problem statement saying that you are given a matrix. Okay, you have a given a matrix, and if the matrix value is 0, that means this is water, and if the matrix value is 1, that means this cell is land. And it is also mentioned that all the lands are connected. That means if there is an 1, it did not happen that in that side there is an 1, okay, and in between there is 0, because there is two land. Okay, but in this problem it is mentioned that there only be one land. That means all the land will be connected. Okay, that means all the land will be connected. Okay, so if this is my one, so it may happen there is an one, there is an one. That means the lands are connected now. Okay, this is my land. So and I have to find what is the perimeter of the land. Okay, and what it mean by perimeter? That if you have a given a matrix, and let assume that there is an 3 ones and 1 1 1 and others are 0. Okay, so what is the perimeter? Perimeter is that what is the side covered by water or outside of that matrix. That means for that case, this is my perimeter, this part is my perimeter. And what is the length of the perimeter? And it is mentioned that each cell is a square of length 1. Okay, so for that case the perimeter is, this is 1 and this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so the perimeter is 8. That means for that test case the result is 8, as the perimeter is 8. Okay, okay, so let's understand how we solve the problem. So if you have a given only a single land, okay, and all the sides are covered by water, so what is the perimeter? For that case the perimeter is 4, because all the sides are covered by water, so the perimeter is all the sides, and I know that each side is length 1, so this is the 4 of, for that case the perimeter is 4. But if I have another cell connected with that and all the sides are covered by water, that means all the sides are covered by water. Now for that case the perimeter is 6. Why 6? Because this is 1 2 3 4 5 6. For that case this is 6. But how we can know that the perimeter will be 6? This is simple, right? If you have a one cell and all the sides are covered by water, that means all sides of my cell is my perimeter, that means 4. But when I am adding another cell, that means I have a common sides, and this is not my part of perimeter, right? This is not my part of perimeter, this green side. So what I have to do, I know there is two cell, that means this cell individually give me 4 as a perimeter, and these cells also individually gives me as a 4 as a perimeter, but there is a common part and which is not my perimeter. Okay, so what I have to do, I have to reduction of this part. But what is the reduction for that part? Because I have already one cell and I have attaching another cell. Okay, for that case I am adding 4, and for that cell I am adding 4, but these adjacents, this will cover two cells, that means two sides. That means for that case I have to reduce 2. Okay, so if I see there is an adjacent, I have to reduce 2, and this is the intuition. Let's take another example. If I see that there is an matrix and the cells which is covered by land are 1 and this is 0, that means this is water. So what is the perimeter for that cell? Okay, so perimeter for that cell, I have seen that there is an 1, that means there will be another a 4, And I have seen there is another one, that means this will gives me 4 as a perimeter when I consider this is an individual as my land. So and there is again another 4, so this will also give me 4, but this is not my answer. Why? Because I have to reduce the adjacent part, but how many adjacents are there in between cell? This one adjacent, this is one adjacent, okay, these two is are adjacent, and for adjacent part I have to reduce 2, as there is 2 adjacents, so I have to reduce 2 into 2, that means for every adjacent I have to reduce 2 from my perimeter. Okay, so now my answer becomes 8. Okay, because 4 plus 4 gives me 12, and 12 minus 4 gives me 8, and I know that for that case the result also be 8. How? This is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, because this is the perimeter. And what is the definition of perimeter? That all sides should be covered by water, and I know this side is covered by water, and this is the my boundary, and that means this is also covered by water, right? So this is the approach for my problem. Okay, so how we can solve the problem? So this is simple. If I see there is an land, I just simply add 4 in my answer. Okay, but whenever see an adjacent, if I see another one, I just simply add my answer. That for that case this is 4, and for that one this is 4. This will be my answer. But if I see there is in between there is an adjacent, I just simply reduce 2. If I see that there is another land, I just simply add 4, and there is an adjacent, that means I have to reduce 2, and this is the intuition. Okay, so my target is what is the number of land is present in the island, and what is the number of adjacents present in the island. Okay, like if I consider an example that there are 3 cells are covered by land, that means this is one, this is one, this is one. So if I know that there is 3 island, and how many adjacents are present, this is one adjacent, this is one adjacent, 2 adjacents. So what will be my answer? For every island I will just simply multiply 4, and for every adjacent I just simply reduce 2 for each adjacent. That means if there is 2 adjacents, I just simply reduce 2 into 2. For each adjacent I just reduce 2. So my answer will be 12 minus 4, and this will give me 8, and 8 is my answer. Why 8 is my answer? Because this is my part of perimeter 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and for that case 8 is also my answer. So I know that concept. So how will find what is the number of island and what is the number of adjacents? This is simple. What I am doing, if I present that cell, I know this is my part of island. If this value is 1, this is my island. But how we find adjacents? For every cell I try to find what is the next cell. If the next cell is also 1, that means there is an adjacent. For that case this is not, so this is not adjacent. And what is the next row? Okay, that means if I am present here, so I always try to find if the next column in the same row, is there any one? If there is an one, that means in between there is an adjacent. And I also try to find in the next row in same column, is there in any one or not? If there is an any one, that means in between there is another adjacent. And in that way I will find all the adjacents and what is the number of island. And I know the formula, the perimeter is that my 4 into number of island minus 2 into number of adjacents, and this will gives me the perimeter. Okay, and for that case what is the time complexity? As I traversing all the cells in my matrix, so the time complexity will be n into m. The time complexity is n into m. And what is the space complexity? As I am not using any space, the space complexity is order of 1. So this is my optimal approach. The time complexity is order of n into m, and the space complexity is order of 1. So let's move to the code editor and it will be more clear when we will be coding. Okay, so let's move to the code editor. So what I have to do, as I have to traverse throughout the grid, so we just find what is the number of row and number of column first. So the number of row is the grid length and number of columns will be every column length. Okay, this is a column length. So what I'll be doing, I have to find what is the island, number of island. Okay, so island will be first 0 and what is the adjacent island, adjacent number. Okay, and I am considering first adjacent will be 0. So what I am doing, I'll traversing through all the row and column in my matrix. Okay, so I'll just traversing through all the row and column. So whenever I see that my current grid cell is 1, that means there is an island. So what I'm doing, I just increase the island value, but I also have to count what is the adjacent cells. So how we can find adjacent? I will try to same row next column if there is an 1 or not. That means if I see that my next cell is not out of bound and the next cell value is, that means the next row is not out of bound and the next row and same column gives me 1, that means this is my parts of adjacence. That means next row and same column gives me 1, that means this is my parts of an adjacence. And also if I see that my next column is not out of bound and the next column gives me, that means same row next columns give me 1, that means this is also my parts of adjacence. Okay, this is also my parts of adjacence. That means if I currently start in I comma j and if I see that the next row is not out of bound, that means this is less than n, that means this is not out of boundary and this is 1, that means there is an adjacence. And if I see that same row next column, that means I comma j plus 1, that means j plus is not out of bound and this gives me value 1, that means there is an adjacence. Okay, so I am trying to find what is the number of cells and what is the number of adjacents for that case, and from that case I am finding island and adjacents. And what will be my answer? I know the answer will be 4 into island minus 2 into adjacents, because I mentioned how this will happen. Okay, so I just simply run the code and this is gives me a compiler error because I am not checking the one. Okay, let's run it. Yeah, it accepted and let's submit it. Yeah, it beats 99%. In case you liked our video, make sure you subscribe our channel and share with your friends and stay connected with us. Thank you.